Today we're going to talk about organizing all those craft supplies and how you can do so efficiently to keep you from rebuying things you already have. Coming up next. Hi everybody, my name is Dee Burks and this is Retirement Rescue, where we talk about how to make money, save money, and create a great retirement. Well, today is really part 2 of the craft room. Last week, I talked about how to get your craft supplies decluttered, because that's really the first step. Before you organize, hey, get it decluttered. And I'll link that video below in the description so you can go back and look at that if you haven't already. But today we're going to be talking about, okay, once you're decluttered, how do you get that stuff organized? Now, I am sure you all have seen a lot of these, hey, how to organize your craft room videos. And so many of them have this pristine craft room with custom-made cabinets, everything matches. You know what? That's not realistic for most of us. And it's really not cost-effective either. Most of us don't have an entire room just to do crafts. And even if we did, do we really want to spend the money to make all of that stuff custom? For most people, that's no. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what I do. I try to do things really efficiently, yet cost effectively. So that's what we're really going to focus on today. Now, there are a few things I use that I think are worthy investments. Things like metal storage racks, things that are sturdy, that will last forever, but that aren't necessarily craft specific. You can use them anywhere in your home or garage. And I really love things that do double duty. So we're going to be talking about several of those items too. Now, a lot of the things I'm going to talk about today, I do have a link for in the description, but I really encourage you to, if you can find them secondhand, you know, if you have something like that already in your house, use that first. Don't go spending a lot of money just to get organized. But now let's talk about the steps to organize. The first one obviously is declutter. Get all of the things for that particular craft in one location. Now, when you go to organize those things, that's really important as well. You don't want to spread that stuff out all over your house again. That's one of the reasons we continue to buy things we already have, because it's not all in one location. And even if it were, we can't see at a glance what we have. Those two aspects are really important. It needs to be in one location. You need to be able to see at a glance what you have. Now, even if you don't have a lot of one thing, or they're very small, like for example, maybe you like to make jewelry, and all of your jewelry findings basically fit in one box, one of those little compartmentalized boxes. Here's an example of one. And the link to this is below if you need one, but you can get those at Hobby Lobby or anywhere. But maybe that doesn't take up much space. Well, in that case, if you do several crafts, as so many of us do, it's great to have one of these tall storage racks. You can put all of your various crafts on it, and each craft can have its own shelf. Doesn't matter if that's soap making, jewelry making, painting, crochet, whatever. Now, if you're like me, the things that you do, you tend to have a lot of. So one shelf just really isn't going to cut it. However, it's still really important that you keep those things that all belong to one craft together. So let me show you just some quick ideas. The first thing I'm going to talk about is painting supplies. If you're someone who paints, and whether you oil paint, acrylic paint, I'm not necessarily talking about craft paint because there's a little bit less there. But if you paint on canvases, especially large canvases like I do, you're going to have a lot of supplies. I'm going to take you on a quick tour of one, let me stress that one, of my painting shelf units. I actually moved it into my filming room so I'd have better light. Let me tell you what, I sweated. I hope y'all appreciate this because I really sweated on this one. But here's a quick tour. Now, when you have one of these really tall racks, this is an 82-inch. When you have one of these really tall racks, it's really important not to put heavy stuff on the top couple of racks. You want to keep it to the lighter items. You can see up here I have blank and some used canvases that I'll reuse, but lots of canvas because that's relatively light. You can see over here, this is also the container that holds all of my paint and sip materials. These are easels, aprons, brushes, for when I teach a paint and sip class, which I do on occasion. Now in the middle part of this rack, you can see a variety of paint supplies. Really organized as far as my painting boards, various mediums and thinners, as well as my gesso, a lot of different things. And then of course on the bottom two racks, I really reserve those for things like frames, things that are heavy, and that will keep this rack from tipping over. But be very, very careful with these racks because they can tip over if you get them too top heavy. Now let's look at the end of the rack. And of course, we've talked before about these shoe racks and how handy they are. Well, for paint supplies and craft supplies, they are deliciously useful. There are so many things you can put in these little shoe containers. And of course, they're clear. So you can see everything, you can keep inventory, and you don't rebuy things. Now on the other end of this rack is another idea. You can take zip ties and put a piece of pegboard on the end of the rack, cut to fit, and you can hang anything you want. So even if you don't want to use the shoe rack idea, you can use pegboard for any of your craft items on one of these shelves. Now several things that you really notice, the way I set up my shelving units, you can see everything. Whether it be on a shoe rack, whether it be on the pegboard, you can see everything. I can go in and look at a glance at my shelving units and I know exactly what I have. I know what my inventory of paint is at a glance. I know if I'm needing something or missing something at a glance. It's really quick. And if there is some reason I think I might be going to a paint store or art store, I'll take a quick picture of those racks. So if I'm in Hobby Lobby or Michael's or wherever and I'm thinking, gosh, I wonder, do I have that? Do I need that? I can look back at my pictures and see. It's super easy. So that might be a little trick for those of you who find yourself out shopping and rebuy something just because you didn't look before you left. That's a quick trick. But not everyone has room for this type of humongous shelving unit. And you may not have that many supplies. So let's take a look at another scenario that I use for my crochet supplies, which I have a lot fewer of. And this one fits in a very small closet. So if you live in a small space and you only have maybe a small closet, here's an idea for you. Let's take a quick look. This is also a great idea for storage. These little storage units you can get anywhere, Target, Walmart, wherever. They fit perfectly inside even a small closet. They can hold your various books and magazines. On crochet and knitting, they can hold all of your supplies, and they can even hold your current project that you're working on. Now here again, you notice things are organized. I can see at a glance what I have. You can easily put pegboard, which I'm beginning to really fall in love with pegboard, but you can put pegboard in a closet and organize some of your items on that pegboard as well. Super handy, super easy. Now let's talk about you quilters. And I can kind of make fun of us because I am one. So I understand we collect and we collect and we have so much stuff. Y'all, I have bins of fabric. I have bins of scraps. But they are organized in that way. I have specific bins for specific things. But if you only have a few items, or you have some items that just don't store easily, the awkward rulers, we all have some of those. The great big quilting, the hand quilting hoop, you may have one of those, I do. Maybe you have bolts of fabric, and those don't store very easily in your standard home, and they don't fit in a bin. But this sort of little cart might fit you exactly. It rolls, it's very easy, it's not super huge, so you're not lifting things up over your head like you would on the big rack. And it will fit those awkward items that don't really fit in a bin. It also holds a lot of smaller bins. And this gives you some idea about how I organize those items. In these bins are cutout quilt pieces for Dresden plates, a variety of things. I keep them all in their Ziploc bags, marked and ready to go. I also have a bin for things like thread. How many of us have this bin? I use up all of my old thread on scrap quilts. And so this allows me to know exactly what I have and what is there to be used. And I'll use up this on scrap quilts and I don't go and buy anymore. And of course you can see my quilting hoop on the front of this little cart. And it's held on by a bungee cord. Most of the time I keep this covered with this blanket that's back here so it doesn't get dust on my bolts of fabric or anything of that nature. And this is small enough you could put it into a closet. You know, when you talk about organizing, it's not about making the room look pretty, even though a lot of times that's a result. But that's not what it's really about. It's about saving money, getting rid of the things you absolutely don't need, not rebuying things that you already have. Here again, 17 pairs of scissors, that's how you do it, right there. You buy things you already have. And staying organized means everything has a place. Being able to organize all of the items for one craft in one location, whether that location is a closet, whether that location is a tall set of shelves like I have, whether it's a small cart, just being able to keep all those items in one area and have it mobile where you can access it and move it around wherever you need it can really be a game changer for your organization. And if you do have a dedicated craft room with custom cabinets, y'all, I'm jealous. Maybe I will one day, but honestly, this works very, very well. So why would I spend the money? So for those of us who are in retirement and downsizing, and we really don't want to have just an extra whole room just for that one thing, then these are some solutions that might work for you. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, please click subscribe, and I'll see you next time.